Ask folks to name their favorite Avengers epics, and they're likely to answer the Celestial Madonna, the Kree-Skrull War, or the Korvac Saga. However, there are plenty of great Assemblers arcs that fly under the radar, like this run from Avengers 42 through 45. So grab your bow and arrows, a handful of Pym particles, and meet me at the Quinjet. It's time for breakfast.
Breakfast!
Issue 42 unveils The Plan and the Power by rascally Roy Thomas and Big John Buscema. As our story begins, Goliath and Wasp are prisoners of Diablo, while Captain America is MIA. So what's Hercules doing? Eating grapes. Frustrated, Clint lays into the freeloading demigod, but Wanda stops things before he ends up a purple smear on the mansion wall. After all, Hank and Jan are still in need of rescuing. A quick-thinking Pietro decides to contact Reed Richards to ask for the alchemist's location. Turns out Hank's been experimenting on Diablo's creation, Dragon Man, drawing the Pyms into his deadly sphere. After getting the sinister villain's address, the team mobilize, but not before Herc gives us this Basic Instinct-style upskirt. Sharon Stone, eat your heart out. Meanwhile, high in the Transylvanian mountains, Hank awakens in Diablo's castle. The alchemist is already raving about his new plan, which sees not one, but an army of dragon men rise to enforce his terrible will. And old Hank here is gonna help him do it, or he'll never see Janet alive again. Turns out the winsome Wasp is Diablo's prisoner, to be destroyed unless Pym concedes. Over a barrel, the size-changing scientist agrees, setting to work on devising a formula to animate the inert army. Meanwhile, the Avengers' aero car arrives at Reed's given coordinates, only to discover Dragon Man standing guard over Jan. Having finally found a foe worthy of battle, Hercules hops out to engage while the other Avengers fly on to the castle. There they encounter an altogether unexpected obstacle, set to stop them from reaching Diablo. Pietro attempts to speed past his turncoat teammate, but Pym clotheslines him with a tree trunk-size arm. He then reaches for Clint, but the acrobatic archer avoids the giant's attack. Meanwhile, Hercules has entered a Stygian underworld with stalactites, boiling lava. The whole bit. It's the perfect place for an ambush. Dragon Man slaps Herc aside with his powerful tail. Angered, the demigod rises, and the battle is joined, the two titans trading thunderous blows. Remembering his goal is to free the Wasp, Hercules attempts to vanquish the beast, quickly pummeling him with a massive boulder. And while such an assault might level another foe, this is Dragon Man we're talking about. By the zestful zither of Zeus indeed. Elsewhere, Black Widow wakes from her experience in the Psychotron, a mind weapon with the power to uncover and manifest the subject's greatest fears. And she's gonna go back in if she doesn't tell us all she knows about S.H.I.E.L.D. After making his threats, Colonel Ling leaves a cowering Natasha, but when his back is turned, she rabbits. Enacting S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Fury's plan, she moves to sabotage the Psychotron, but encounters two guards on patrol. Unleashing her widow's bite, she knocks them unconscious, as 6 more appear. Natasha fights her way through them, determined to accomplish her goal. However, this does not go unobserved, her actions witnessed by Ling and a disbelieving Dr. Yen. How is her will not broken? They must capture her and find out what went wrong. The widow is gassed, while elsewhere in the castle, Hank continues to block his teammates. However, instead of hexing him, Wanda explains Jan is being rescued by Hercules as they speak. Reassured, Pym leads his comrades deeper into the castle, but Diablo is ready for them with his Dynadisc. Pietro is unable to penetrate its protective barrier, so Hank takes a swat, but no dice. Diablo then reveals he knows of Hercules and is prepared to blow up the cave the Avengers are currently in. However, before Diablo can pull the lever, a familiar gloved hand stops him cold. It's Captain America, and he's already had enough supervillain shenanigans for one day. Diablo begs not to be hit again, but his meekness is simply a ruse to get in range. The Dyna Disc sends a wave of concussive force through the air, but Cap uses his shield to absorb the blast, then knocks Diablo senseless. Turning off the protective barrier, Cap greets his fellow Avengers, but there's little time for talk, as Jan still needs rescued. Seems Dragon Man's proving tougher than Hercules expected, but the time for games hath ended. Taking the mute monstrosity by the head, Herc swings him through a cave wall, driving him back with a series of thunderous blows until lining up his shot. Allowing Dragon Man to strike, the Prince of Power rolls, sending the winged creature tumbling into the lava below. And hey, here's Jan, awake and shrunk out of her chains. The team is reunited, but self-congratulation will have to wait, as Cap has set the place to blow. The arrow car streaks away as the castle is consumed in a fiery explosion, leaving Dragon Man to an uncertain fate. The team return to Avengers Mansion, but before anyone can get their sweatpants on, they get word the Black Widow is being held captive behind the Iron Curtain. Sorry, Jarvis, Taco Night is being delayed again. Next up, it's Avengers 43 and color him the Red Guardian. And hey, Quicksilver can fly now. He just kind of figured it out, and it allows him to be even more annoying than usual. After stealing Hawkeye's bow and Hercules' book, Cap decides enough's enough and attempts to rein in the exuberant mutant, but Pietro is awful worked up. And who could blame him? Being able to fly changes everything for the character. Shame it's never mentioned again, huh? Hercules, meanwhile, has been spoiling for a fight, so he goes for the team's alpha dog. But what chances one man, even one such as Captain America, have against a demigod? Actually, pretty good, as Herc can't seem to lay a paw on him. However, before things can get out of control, Herc unexpectedly relents, impressed at the captain's skill and courage. And look who's here! Ebenezer Wallaby, attorney at law. He informs Janet of the good news. The full sum of her father's inheritance is now hers. In other words, she's rich. Richer. Elated, Jam zips about the room, but now isn't the time for frivolity. Hawkeye has flown the coop. For answers, we look to the Lower East Side, where Clint has entered a cheap, sleazy bar. He's looking for Bruiser, his contact, for information on the Black Widow's whereabouts. Bruiser has the info, but demands his money first. Things go sideways, and Clint's overcoat is torn open, revealing his Hawkeye togs. A brawl breaks out then, with the angered Archer taking on a barroom full of patrons. And he's doing pretty good for himself, at least until this lowlife tackles him from behind with a bar stool. Knocked through the window and into the alleyway, Clint retrieves his bow and arrows, then heads back for round 2. The Avenger quickly gets the upper hand, and Bruiser gives up Widow's location at a secret base in Asia. Clint heads back to the mansion for transportation and encounters an idle Hercules on the way. Clint's passionate explanation about how Natasha was secretly working for Nick Fury the whole time convinces the demigod to tag along. Perhaps he misjudged the arrogant Archer after all. At the aforementioned secret base, Colonel Ling welcomes General Brushov, who's here to see the Psychotron. However, Ling directs his attention instead to a large black curtain, drawn to reveal this colorful character. The general balks at this delay, but Ling insists on a demonstration. The red-garbed man hurls his belt buckle, knocking the general's chair into the air, but the officer is caught before he can hit the floor. Without warning, a squad of men storm in and attack, but the masked man makes short work of them. This is the Red Guardian, and, in spite of his initial skepticism, the general is impressed and plots to lure Captain America to the base to destroy him once and for all. Meanwhile, above, the homing device Natasha was given pings, leading the errant Avengers to their goal. The heroes leap from the arrow car into a waiting army. They lay into the troops who have been instructed not to kill in the hopes of capturing one of the fabled Avengers alive. While Clint takes the front line, Herc decides to knock down a few walls. A squad of flame troopers appear, but before they can incinerate the pair, Clint takes them out with a trick arrow. However, before the archer can pat himself on the back, he gets scuffed by a flying belt buckle, taking him out. The Red Guardian appears, and the battle is joined. And while Hercules is more powerful, his crimson-clad opponent is faster, ducking the staggering blow. The Olympian tears a massive chunk of machinery free and uses it as a missile, sending his foe scrambling. The Guardian charges through a nearby door, and the angered Avenger follows. However, before he can collar the fin-headed fiend, the door is shut behind him, trapping the demigod inside the Psychotron. A phantasmagorical display momentarily blinds our hero, and, when his eyes clear, he finds himself facing no less than the fearsome Hydra of myth. But Hercules killed the dreaded beast long ago. How can it be here, now? Herc seized by a massive claw and drawn into the smoke-filled air, but he battles back, pummeling the flame-spewing heads. In spite of the mythic power of his blows, the beast seems unaffected. It hurls the demigod aside like a rag doll, but Hercules redoubles his efforts, firing a massive stone boulder at his opponent. Astonishingly, it has no effect on the slithering serpent, scarcely faltering in its attack. Outside, the Red Guardian approaches the fallen Hawkeye, but Clint is simply playing possum and attacks. He demands to know Natasha's whereabouts, and when the Guardian asks why, the archer admits he loves her. This is too rich for the Crimson Communist, who dispatches the archer with his belt buckle. I know, giving him a shield would be a little too on the nose, but having your primary weapon also be the thing that holds your pants up isn't very tactically sound. Clint wakes up next to Nat in a set of glass capsules. When the Red Guardian removes his mask, the Widow gasps in shock. But who is this mystery man who has imprisoned them both? Why, it's no less than Alexei, her husband. Already stunned, this latest news is like a kick in the junk to our favorite archer, but the ride's just getting started. Having discovered Clint and Herc missing, Cap assembles the others and our team rockets off to the Iron Curtain. Issue 44 has been in my collection for 40 years now. It's survived multiple moves, collection purges, and basement floods, so it's a pleasure to share it with you today. We pick up where we last left off with the Widow and Clint, the prisoners of Red Guardian and General Ling. Oh, and General Brushoff is here too, so you know things are getting serious. He reveals to the imprisoned Avengers Hercules' struggle within the Psychotron, the machine creating the dread Hydra from the demigod's own unknowing subconscious. However, it's not all peaches and cake, as the two powerful military men butt heads. Brushoff is unimpressed with the device, but Ling waxes poetic on the Psychotron's mind-rending potential. Sure, for the moment it's confined to a mere chamber, but if reproduced on a grand scale, the events could be earth-shattering. After outlining nefarious supervillain plan number 713, the pair turn their attention to Madame Natasha. What to do with her, especially after she's managed to endure her trip into the Psychotron. From her capsule, Widow insists she's still a loyal party member and demands a lie detector test, stalling in a desperate hope for salvation. It arrives in the form of a gleaming arrow car, which penetrates the futuristic enemy complex. Red forces sight their blaster cannons on the invading heroes and open fire, the Avengers evading the barrage at the last moment. Using her hex powers, Wanda draws the wall down upon the gun turret, wrecking the weapon. Then, from a dozen directions at once, come an army of gun-toting goons who swarm the Avengers. The team comes together, each using their unique skill set to whittle down the opposing force. It's great to see Hank front and center here, bold, confident, and unburdened by events yet to come. However, no one counted on the baddies having a parasonic thermo ray, which scatters our shaken heroes. the death-dealing second blast never comes, as the wondrous Wasp has sabotaged the fearful weapon. Pressing the advantage, Hank smashes the now inactive Ray, but this isn't getting them any closer to their objective, and Cap sprints ahead. Just then, a team of jet-powered troops swoop in, blasting away with their own futuristic armaments. Hank takes the brunt of the initial salvo, but Pietro quickly draws their fire, keeping them busy while the team recovers. Meanwhile, Cap finds himself in a different predicament, getting sucked into a capsule of his own. Looks like the Red Guardian is going to get a chance to test his mettle after all. Cap smashes free with the aid of his shield and talks a little smack before laying into his new foe. The two begin to brawl, a good old-fashioned knuckle-duster that sees the Red Guardian seemingly get the upper hand. However, Cap shrugs off his finned opponent, and we're treated to this nifty little action sequence. And while the pair seem evenly matched, Red Guardian goes for his belt buckle, which Cap smashes with his trusty shield. Now empty-handed, Cap is dealt a vicious blow, staggering the red, white, and blue Avenger. Abruptly, Hawkeye's capsule explodes, and the startled Avenger scampers off to plot his next move. Above ground, Hank is smashing the base up like it's made of Legos, taking the remaining gunners out with a hurled chunk of machinery. However, the exertion has taken its toll, and he staggers. Now it's Pietro's turn, the super-fast mutant disabling the Red's latest mechanical threat in the blink of an eye. Below, Cap has the Red Guardian on the ropes, his gloved fists delivering a thorough pummeling, but treachery is afoot. Ling activates a powerful shock grid, stunning Captain America. The Guardian protests this, enraged at Ling's dishonor. However, the General has no use for such outdated concepts. Victory his only goal. In the confusion, Natasha slips away and begins ascending the Psychotron in a bid to disable the device. Ling attempts to fire on the Widow, but the Guardian interferes, blocking his ray blast. Nat zaps the Psychotron, knocking the machine offline before dropping herself. Luckily, Hawkeye is there to catch her, and the pair are reunited at last. Free of the effects of the Psychotron, Hercules smashes his way to freedom. Reuniting with Hawkeye, the pair devise a quick escape, with the demigod busting his way through the roof of the complex. Hank and the others witness the activity and, presuming it to be their teammates, lower a helpful rope from the aero car. You'd think the Avengers would have developed ladder technology, but hey, it was still early days. Ling, ever treacherous, attempts to fire on the fleeing heroes, but Red Guardian leaps forward, causing the ray to strike a series of gas pipes. The whole compound goes up then, with the molten core of the Earth itself spewing forth to consume the Psychotron and all who served it. Turns out there was a slight miscalculation, with the base being built over a dormant volcano. Dang. Hope that was the part of Asia they weren't using. The Avengers head for home, and soon enough, Nat's recovered enough for visitors. Looks like she lost her nose in the process, but it's a small price to pay, and besides, it's back in the next panel. Comforted by a room full of cheerful faces, Widow explains how the Red Guardian was Alexei Shostakov, a brave Soviet test pilot she was once very much in love with. However, when he was inducted into the secret program to create the Red Guardian, Natasha was told he was dead, leading the heartbroken woman to begin her career as a super spy. A wild ride for sure. But wait, this tale has a startling coda. Issue 45 sees the return of the awe-inspiring Super-Adaptoid, a longtime favorite of old guys everywhere. As our tale begins, previously absent Avengers Thor and Iron Man make their way to Central Park, with Hercules in tow. Literally. What is it with these guys and ropes? Across town, Pietro scolds Wanda for taking too long with her makeup. Seems unfair considering how quickly he can put his on, but let's not get catty. The pair are soon picked up by Hank in the aero car and are shuttled off to Avengers Day. Held to celebrate the team's recent victory over the Mandarin, they fly in to meet the others. I've always loved these Marvel crowd scenes. I actually thought people talked like this as a kid, and honestly, I'm kind of disappointed they don't. But where are Jan and Cap? The Avengers aren't the only ones wondering. Consider this anonymous smoker in the crowd. Behind that Winston, he's actually the Super-Adaptoid, looking to fulfill his proto-electric programming and kill Captain America. He recounts their previous battle, pondering the captain's seeming return from the dead. No matter. With this many Avengers present, the Adaptoid will have more than enough power to destroy the Star-Spangled Sentinel once and for all. It's then Jan arrives in her sporty new car, with a nifty new costume to boot. Talk about making an entrance. Her big galoot of a boyfriend appears then, ruining all the fun. Come on, Hank, lighten up. The Avengers perform a few stunts to keep the crowd entertained, with Hawkeye shooting off some trick arrows and Hercules making like a real-life Steve Reeves. And Jan seems to be picking up what the demigod is laying down, standing awfully close to him in this panel, as they have their own comics to worry about. Iron Man and Thor split, leaving the other team members to the accolades. Just then Cap arrives, flanked by an honest-to-Gorshin motorcycle escort. How's that for respect? Assembled at last, the Avengers ascend the stage. After the usual speeches, Hank takes the mic to offer Hercules membership on the team. The Olympian graciously accepts, but before he can attend taco night, the Adaptoid goes into his bit. He fires an Iron Man-style repulsor at the stage, with Cap leaping to the fore. The android shoots up in height to press his advantage, but Goliath already has his dime ready for this dance. The two titans grapple, with Adaptoid blasting Hank point blank. Stunned but undeterred, the size-changing Avenger smashes the android backwards. Summoning the power of Mjolnir itself, the Adaptoid slams its shield downwards, creating a staggering seismic wave. When it picks up a nearby boulder and chucks it, Hank abruptly shrinks out of the way. It's not enough, as the Adaptoid simply follows, strafing the grass with repulsor blasts. Jan swoops in to help, but the battle remains wildly unbalanced in the Adaptoid's favor. With no other recourse, Cap orders the police to keep the crowd at bay while the microscopic battle unfolds. With Hank taking a serious drubbing, Jan does something desperate and grabs the Adaptoid, abruptly growing as she does. She then hurls the still miniaturized android as hard as she can against a tree. However, the Adaptoid returns to its regular size just before impact, lessening the destructive force of the throw. Good try, though. Jan scoops up the now unmoving Hank while the others turn their attention to the Adaptoid. The android launches an oversized shock arrow to throw the group off their game, but Hawkeye fires back. It's not enough, with the green behemoth seizing Cap and giving him a serious beating. And look who showed up for the fight! Where have you been, Herc? Could have used you a few pages ago, buddy. The Olympian is seized and knocked unconscious by the giant android, which puts things into perspective. It took out a demigod in 2 panels, folks. It's gotta be some kind of record. Wanda unleashes her unpredictable hexes upon the marauding menace, but it's all for naught. However, the past few moments have given Pietro time to think, and I take it back. Quicksilver uses his flying ability again here, putting Adaptoid through some super speed paces before it tires of the silver-haired mutant's games and hits him with a park bench. Taking this as their cue, all of the remaining Avengers attack at once, and while individually their powers can be matched and mooted by their adaptive foe, faced with them all at once, the android is overwhelmed and abruptly short-circuits. It is just a machine, after all. The day saved, the celebration continues, picking up where it left off, with the public having a newfound appreciation for the heroes in their midst. Let's hear it for the Avengers, the mightiest fighting team of them all. To coin a phrase, lady, you just better believe it. What a ride, huh? It just goes to show you that for all the so-called essential Avengers comics, there are dozens of others just as fun and exciting waiting in the wings. Don't believe me? Try it yourself with any random back-issue pull from the classic era. I guarantee you'll be thrilled, or I'll personally give you your 12 cents back. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and if you'd like to support the channel, buy some merch. It's merch-tastic. I'm Jason Mink, and I'll see you next time at breakfast.